Bitcoin is scarce in the sense that there's 21 million of them, but so what? It's just a string of numbers. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing that it does that's any different than all the other strings of numbers of all the other cryptocurrencies. In fact, there's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. I mean, there's enough Satoshis for everybody to have hundreds of thousands of them. You can't do anything more with a Bitcoin than you can with a Satoshi, which is nothing.
비트코인 거래업체 스트라이크의 CEO인 잭 말러스와 미국의 주식 브로커이자 금 옹호론자, 대표적인 비트코인 회의론자로 알려진 피터씨의 뜨거웠던 토론 하이라이트 영상을 가져왔습니다. 몇 가지 주제를 띄고 열띤 토론을 펼쳤는데, 금으로 비트코인 가격을 매긴다면 인플레이션을 감안했을 때 금은 좋은 성과를 냈는가, 내재 가치의 문제점, 비트코인이 정말 희소한 것일까, 만일 무한하게 나눌 수 있는 것이라면 오늘날 비트코인은 화폐로 간주될 수 있는가, 금은 왜 화폐로서 실패했는가 등을 주제로 각자의 의견을 나누고 있습니다. 오늘 영상에서는 과연 어떤 주장으로 왜 비트코인이 쓸모없다고 말하고 있고 진정한 가치 저장 수단이라고 말하는 것인지 잭 말러스와 피터씨의 주장을 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 그리고 코인리서처 공식 텔레그램을 더보기란과 댓글에 남겨뒀습니다. 데일리 경제 이슈들, 매크로 정보들을 직접 제공해드리고 차트 시황도 참고하실 수 있기 때문에 시장 동향을 보실 때 도움 얻어가시길 바랍니다.
Even though Bitcoin made a new nominal record high this year in dollars, it never made a new high in gold. The high for Bitcoin priced in gold was still back in 2021, and we're more than 30% below that high now, about 3 years later. So I think the tide has already turned, where Bitcoin is going to continuously lose value measured in the price of gold.
If you were to zoom out that same chart, David,
Sure.
Bitcoin made a local high when priced in gold in late 2013. It entered what Peter's calling a gold bear market all the way until 2017, where it hit smashing new highs. That was a 3-year gold bear market Bitcoin was in. It then made another smashing high in December of 2017. It remained in what Peter describes as a gold bear market up until 2020, where it made new smashing highs. And so now we're in what Peter's describing another gold bear market for another 3 years. I see no evidence as to why Bitcoin won't continue to smash and make new highs. And then maybe some years down the road, I'll be on a call just like this and Peter will say it will enter another gold bear market. You can't call an asset over a 3-year period, such a short time frame, a bear market when over its history, it's continuously outperformed gold over and over and over again. To me, that looks like adoption cycles. That doesn't look like a bear market. I think for my case for Bitcoin, in my opinion, it's the best money in human history. It's for very fundamental purposes of the properties that we want in a money. For one, it's the scarcest money in human history. It's the only monetary asset of all time that has a fixed supply. It's the most portable asset of all time. It's the only monetary asset that you can teleport over a communications channel like the internet. It's the most divisible asset of all time. It can measure an asset that's the size of a grain of sand. It can also measure assets the size of sports franchises. It is infinitely divisible because it is bytes of data. It's durable, it's portable, it's actually censorship resistant to governments and central parties, which gold, unfortunately, is not. And so to me, Bitcoin has been the most performant asset in human history. If you don't want to take the early number bias, over the last decade, Bitcoin has an average annual return of around 60%. Gold has an inflation-adjusted return of annually around 2% over that same duration. So I think Bitcoin is better money. I think monies compete over monetary policy, and I expect Bitcoin to continue to do what it's already done.
Scarcity in of itself doesn't mean anything. I mean, gold is not valuable because it's scarce. I mean, it has a high price because it's scarce, but its value is not from its scarcity, but from its properties as a metal, right? Gold can do things that other metals and other material can't do. And so there are a lot of places where gold is used because it adds a lot of value.
I can't believe I'm arguing this with the Peter Schiff. All value is subjective, David. It's actually the fact that you can't chew your Bitcoin, put it in a jewelry kit, sponsor it in a music video is a property. It's a pro to the asset. If you had a money that had 10 total units and you were producing 1 unit per year, so that's the stock to flow ratio, the new supply dynamic. Let's just, for example's sake, if you were to take half of that total supply and you were to demonetize it and commercialize it and consume it, that makes it a worse money because now the total money supply of that monetary good is now 5, still being produced at 1 per year. So you don't want to be consuming your money. You want the money to be used for monetary purposes. Money is the market good that you do
Bitcoin
not.
Can't.
Hold on, Peter. I'll let you finish. the money is the market good, David, that you do not consume. You strictly acquire it only to save it and exchange it for things later. It is not because gold is used in Peter's cufflinks that gold is money. Gold is money because it's a hard asset that, despite rampant demand, finding new supply has been more difficult. That's why silver was demonetized. So it's all of his claims against Bitcoin are the same with gold. Again, what's the confidence that someone will value Bitcoin tomorrow? What's the confidence someone will value gold tomorrow? Gold is not used as a money because you can put it in cufflinks. Gold is used as a money for the monetary properties I just went over. What you want in a money is the monetary good that's best at being money, that's best at being the market good, to both save your money through time, your value through time, and be able to exchange your value and money through space.
Bitcoin is scarce in the sense that there's 21 million of them, but so what? It's just a string of numbers. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing that it does that's any different than all the other strings of numbers of all the other cryptocurrencies. In fact, there's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. I mean, there's enough Satoshis for everybody to have hundreds of thousands of them. You can't do anything more with a Bitcoin than you can with a Satoshi, which is nothing. Getting back to your idea that Bitcoin is the greatest money that's ever been invented, I don't think it qualifies as money at all, because money has to be the most marketable commodity, and the commodity has to have value unto itself, and Bitcoin has none. Bitcoin is used to exchange, and you could speculate on it, you can buy it, and maybe somebody else will pay a higher price. But apart from that, it's not used for anything the way money is supposed to be, like gold is.
Peter, does a money need to be accepted at the store? So if like Papa John's does not accept a certain asset, would you then disqualify it as money, which would mean gold
money has to be acceptable as a medium of exchange. Yes.
Okay, so gold is not money either.
Gold is not being used as money today other than by central banks. Gold has been demonetized, and it's mainly a commodity. But, it can be accepted. I mean, I would certainly accept gold, just like you would probably accept Bitcoin. But if somebody wanted to buy something from me and pay in gold, I'd be happy to take it. But gold is not functioning as money right now, even though it historically has been money. We've had about the last 50 years where gold has not been money ever since 1971, when Nixon, closed the gold window. But before that, gold was acting as money because it was backing up the currencies that were circulating. And what gave legitimate currency value was the gold, the money that backed it up.
The real problem with gold is that, unfortunately, it has to centralize. The problem is that gold can't achieve transaction finality without the help of a government or a central party, meaning that when gold was operating in a local economy and you can exchange the physical coins with your direct counterpart for your butcher, your local tailor, your grocer, whoever you were exchanging with, gold was great. When the world needed to scale an economy and the velocity of money larger than your local economy, gold failed us. Gold failed us because gold is just a bare physical metal. It does not carry a monetary network. What's the gold network? The gold network are human beings. And when you're trying to transact in an economy of billions of people globally, you are reliant on central parties, banks, governments. And it was for that reason that gold failed. And it failed in a way that you can't operate a truly free market when the concentrated supply is with those that you have to trust. And so that's fundamentally what Bitcoin solved, is that you are able to create a scarce bearer instrument and a network that can achieve finality in transactional settlement without the reliance on any government or central party. That's really the core issue of why gold's been demonetized since. I think on the points of Bitcoin, like needing more history and it's young, I mean, I think that sounds like a personal problem for you, Peter. Like that, I think you need more evidence. And that's you being slow to recognize reality, right? Like if you were to need the internet to prove that email is better than traditional mail, you would just be late to adopting better technology. Yeah, I would just end it by telling the audience, I don't dislike gold at all. I like gold. And I like Peter. I mean, this screenshot of this conversation is going right in my scrapbook. Like I said, I grew up on both your work, really. But, Peter, obviously, I really respect the good fight you've been fighting.
Let me just say one thing, too, to reiterate that. I have the same respect for Jack. I'm not saying this to be condescending, but as a father, I think that your parents did a great job in raising you. So I've got nothing but goodwill for you. And I really appreciate and admire what you've been able to accomplish. And I hope my kids can be as successful.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.